Hello, and welcome back to the Green Heart Wellbeing Podcast. So, this episode is late, a few days. It's also, I'm recording it in the evening. My dog and my cat are like running around. Every time I've tried to record it, I've just not managed. So, I'm sorry if there's noise in the background, but in the spirit of trying to be consistent, I'm making sure that I at least get an episode out this week and then another one on Sunday. So, it normally releases on a Sunday. Anyway, today's Tuesday, and I think once I start talking a little bit about the theme of this episode, then you'll maybe understand why I'm so, a little bit late this week. So, why did I think that I could start a business? I've got my notes here and I've been kind of jotting down throughout the week. I always knew as a founder of a company or a small business that there would come a time where I had a moment where I was like, what am I doing? Why did I think I'd be able to do this? And I mean, I'd say like I prepared for it in a way because, I knew that 3 months over the summer was going to be a time where there was less income coming in. Obviously, there would be no school clubs running. So I'd kind of prepared for that. But it's more the last couple of weeks at the beginning of the school term where I've been really, really busy. And then there was a portion of it while I wait for sign-ups for the clubs that's just out of my hands. So I think what I want to talk a little bit about is the honesty and the feelings that have come up. Because yeah, there's great things about, starting your own thing, but there's also the hard sides, and I want to be really kind of transparent and share those things as well. So yeah, some weeks are really hard, and the last couple of weeks I'd say has been one of the hard times. So yeah, I think the thing that I've struggled with most this week, like I said a second ago, is the things that are kind of out my control. So whenever I speak with parents or speak with teachers about the clubs, I always hear the same thing. It's like, yeah, this sounds great. This is what my child needs. But where I've found a bit of struggle is for some of the clubs is the sign-up numbers. So there's different elements that all factor into this. If our wellbeing club is running at the same time as, say, something really popular like gymnastics or football, or it clashes with sports fixtures, some kids don't do ECAs. Also, a lot of schools offer free ECAs, which parents opt for rather than paid ECAs, which I understand because school fees in Dubai are sky high. So I get that there's like lots of different things that go into it. Also, our ECA is competing with brochures of sometimes 50 pages that are full of different offerings. So I've tried to kind of counteract that and reach the parents through videos that are attached with those flyers. But again, sometimes it's out with my control. I can't see what's been sent out by the school. So there was a few clubs that haven't been able to run because we never had enough sign-ups. So say we might have had 3 or 4. Typically we'd like to have 8. If there's 4, sometimes I'll do it anyway, but I didn't have any days left this time. So yeah, it's quite tricky, and I just wanted to be like, this is one of the kind of hurdles that I've came across as a founder. But on the flip side, and this is something I'll kind of talk about in a little bit more in this episode, is recognising the things that have went well. So there's, 5, 6, I think there's 7 clubs that are running this term. Some of them are new, which is also great progress. So I need to really remind myself that while I'm having the spiral of, why did I think I could start a business? Who am I to think that I can do this? So there's a few points I wanted to bring up. I think one of them I've noted down is the gap between, expectation and reality. Like I went into this business being like, yeah, I'm going to be totally free. I'll have more balance. I'm going to be doing this really meaningful work. But of course, subconsciously or even consciously, you know that there's going to be the uncertainty, especially around finances, rejection. Some schools that might say, oh, we're already full for this term, maybe next term, but schools are so busy and you've got to be the one to keep pushing, which is difficult. And again, like the financial ups and downs is definitely one. So I knew that passion wouldn't just be enough. But again, I didn't think I realised how much or how many different hats I would need to wear. So yeah, that's like marketing, business outreach, patience, persistence, so many different things. So yeah, that was one of the things that I wanted to mention. Definitely the second thing I'd say I've experienced a lot of in the last couple of weeks is imposter syndrome as a founder. Now, we're all really familiar with that phrase. Many of us experience it in every industry. I definitely experienced it as a teacher working in a really high performing school. Sometimes I would be like, am I good enough to be here? Like, do I belong with these people? And the answer is yes, but you don't really see it yourself sometimes. It's like you're just as capable and able as other people, but you've got experience and this and that, but sometimes the imposter syndrome just creeps in. So I've definitely been experiencing that more so in the business capacity of things. Like, I don't have any qualifications in terms of business, or I've not done many business courses, things like that. Everything that I've been doing is self-taught or learned through experience and having a go and taking a risk and things like that. So I'm sure, as I mentioned, imposter syndrome, you can begin to think about times you've experienced that and maybe reflection on how we counterbalance that. Like, something that I've noticed over the last few days when I've been speaking with friends and sharing some of the things that have been going on, and when a friend hears you, it doesn't matter what it is, they're like, oh my gosh, of course you can do it, and you should be doing this, and da-da-da-da-da. And you would be the same if your friend was experiencing imposter syndrome. You would be able to say to them, oh my gosh, like, you are so good at what you do and you're so passionate. But when it comes to ourselves, the imposter kind of shouts louder. It's like that voice where it's saying, who do you think you are, being able to start a business without any experience, or without this or without that? So that voice still comes up even when you've achieved a lot. So I guess the point I was bringing this up is, the shared experience of imposter syndrome from me as a founder, but you and your context, like, where have you experienced that? And I guess it's like being your own friend in the sense when it does pop up, which is hard, but sometimes it can feel really, what's the word? I'm showing the fact that I'm a millennial here because I know that this word is on its way out apparently, but like cringe. You cringe at the speaking to yourself in a way that you would speak to a friend, but it's like, well, if you don't do it, who will? Yes, your friends will do it, but what if you don't share with them? What if you're containing all of this and going alone? There's a part of you that needs to be your biggest cheerleader. So I think, again, sharing this for people that are working within education, or even, I guess, other industries, it's like reframing that your current experience. Again, I always bring it back to education, but teachers, you've got all these transferable skills, and those are the things that help you combat imposter syndrome. Organisation, resilience, empathy, communication, relationship building. So it's very easy to dismiss some of those things as soft skills, which I don't like that term because they're not soft, but it's like we can dismiss them as not being as weighted as maybe other things are, but they are, and a lot of the things that you can do, whether it's in education or whatever industry you're in, it's like you take it for granted that other people know that stuff, and they don't, not everybody does. So yeah, I think it's the whole reframing imposter syndrome is an important one. So yeah, I've been fighting that fight the last week or so. The third thing I've scribbled down is managing the panic and the struggle. So yeah, some ways that I try and ground myself when this sets in. I'm the first one to admit that, oh, someone's at the door, so sorry if you can hear the claws running across the floor. I'm the first one to kind of admit that I'll have a mope, and if something really bothers me, like, when I was feeling like, oh gosh, really disheartened with certain clubs sign-ups and things like that, and then I thought, let yourself feel it. It's okay to have this feeling, and the downside of, like, it's not going to be all high flying all the time, and it's not going to be, everything going well all the time. You prepared for this as a founder, as in, like, you're going to experience this. Like, it's, there are going to be hard times, and this is one of them. So I let myself be upset. I let myself have a wobble. And something that I've noticed about myself, actually, it's maybe not so much a conscious effort, but I've noticed more recently, like, I'll give myself the day, and the next day, typically, I'm ready to kind of roll my sleeves up and give it a go. So this one lasted a few days, let's say. But then there's been a couple of things that have helped me bounce back. So I'll share those towards the end. Sorry, now my cat Tinker's scratching on his little scratch pad. One of the other things that's really helped with managing that was journaling. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this in other episodes, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but sometimes just journaling. I've got one diary, there's no paragraphs, no punctuation, it's literally like brain dump, and anything that I'm feeling when it comes to this, like being disheartened or panic or worry about things that are happening or transpiring or showing up through the business, just journaling, like getting it all out and leaving it there for a little while. And again, something I've noticed that I need to, or I've tried to be a bit better at reaching out to community and reaching out to friends and family for a bit of support instead of kind of isolating. So I've allowed myself to mention it to a few friends. I haven't reached out on like social media or anything yet, for advice, but I'm guessing as confidence grows, and I'm always totally one for wanting to be transparent and authentic. So I think maybe asking for advice on LinkedIn or things like that would be a way of reaching out. And then the other thing is always reminding myself why I started this. Reminding myself, like, this has always been bigger than me. Like, I've always felt that well-being and education in my own context and own now business is like, even if I'm finding it hard or things are upsetting me or there's a struggle here or a struggle there, I must remember the vision and the mission and why I'm doing it. And why I'm doing it is wellbeing education needs to be improved globally for people that work with children and also the children. So however you want to think about, your reason for doing what you're doing or managing the panic and struggle, is think about the bigger reason behind it. So what is it, that's driving you? And for example, so if you're a class teacher and then you get bogged down by all the hard stuff, it's like you did get in it for bigger reasons. It was to make a difference and impact education in a positive way. And so yeah, there's kind of ways to think about it. And I guess one of the other things I want to say here as well that I've recognised or learned or jotted down, probably through journaling, this has came to me, is like resilience isn't about never wobbling, and we know that. Like, it's about recovering when you do. So however that works best for you, and if that means feeling it for a while, then do that, and then find a way through it to come out the other side. So the fourth thing I've written down is, again, kind of touches on what I just said there. It's like, why is it still worth it? Why is Green Heart, for me, still worth it? Why is your mission within education, why is the work that you do still worth it? So I think reminding ourselves that when we have that imposter tapping our shoulder, or we have those questions about or around meaning and purpose, and it's thinking about, okay, why is this thing still worth it for me? So yeah, I have to remind myself that Green Heart isn't even a year old yet. The trade license came through, and I love this. The trade license came through on the 11th of November, so the 11th of the 11th at 11:11 a.m. last year. And that for me was like a really hopeful, lovely, abundant sign, and of course that date is special in other ways, but for me it was just like a really lovely omen that there was good things going to come of it. So I think why it's still worth it is I have to remember, like I mentioned before, the whole core reason of why I want to keep pushing through. Because to me, lots of educational organisations have great people in them. There's great stuff happening with wellbeing. There needs to be more. You only need to look at the mental health statistics that are provided in different like academic journals or even on WHO, and you can see like the mental health crisis. It used to be 1 in 4 adults would experience a mental health difficulty or disorder. Now it's changed to 1 in 3. And you know, when you think about the statistics, they're only the recorded ones. You only need to look at like higher up the school exam pressure and stuff like that. But we're also seeing a lot now within little ones. You know, anxiety is a word that parents often mention to me. So I'm like, there's a lot more to be done. And even if Green Heart can be a small part of that and help some immediate people within the ECA clubs or coaching or the community, like, then I feel like, you know, that's worth it. That's worth the struggle. So yeah, the seeds are growing. The seeds have been planted. Now they're starting to sprout a little bit, but it'll be a while before we've got the bigger shoots and the stem and the bloom. But I guess the thing is, you know, the hope is there and the patience is worth it to watch it grow. And I guess the other thing, the old adage that they say is like, you know, it's not the destination, it's the journey. So there is a lot of process and I'm learning a lot about myself through that. But again, it's okay to have a wobble. So the takeaway that I wanted to share was like, just general, but for yourself, it's like when I doubt myself, what evidence have I got that I'm actually capable? What achievements have I already managed that show me this is worth it? You know, so the other thing I've written down again about reframing it, the title of this episode, you know, a bit clickbaity, but it's true. It's like, why did I think I could start a business? But then the reframing and what friends are saying and what I would say as a coach is like, well, why not you? You know, so I think that's something that I want you to be able to take away. Whenever a doubt of yourself creeps up, what evidence do you have that you're capable? What achievements have you already had that are evidence of what you can do? Yeah, and a little bit of reframing. So if you hear the imposter saying or tapping you and whispering in your ear like, what are you doing? Like, you can't do this. Then it's reframing it and having that power part of yourself to be like, well, why not me? Yes, I can. Of course I can. And interestingly, this is a lot of the stuff that I teach in the ECA clubs, especially confidence clubs. So I'm like, when I hear myself saying it, I'm like, come on, Ashley, now practice what you preach. So yeah, this is why the episode was kind of focused around that. So, oh yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to mention. So what do we on Tuesday? On Sunday, I was actually at a networking event. And it was like a whole day kind of seminar thing. And even though a lot of the people that were speaking are in different industries from me, I really enjoyed the talks. It's the Irish Business Network in Dubai. If you're here, I'd recommend joining. It's for obviously Irish community or Friends of Ireland. And even being in a room like that and listening to really interesting people, it was a real boost. And it kind of helped me get out of the funk a little bit about you know, why did I think I could start a business? Because so many people in that room have been in that position before. It was actually a panel about startups, you know, so to hear some of that advice, it was like, right, okay. So I guess, you know, being in networks or groups with people that have experienced the journey that you're experiencing or in your industry or whatever it might be, can really boost the energy around what you're trying to do. And the other thing that I've just found out a couple of hours ago, which is also interesting, because I'm like, again, this has really injected some energy into myself to record the podcast. Like, I really wanted to just kind of sit and watch a Netflix and do my emails, but Green Heart Wellbeing was nominated and shortlisted for 2 education awards, so 2 guest awards. One of them is Rising Star, the Startup of the Year, and the other one is Best Product in the Wellbeing Space, which is connected to the ECA clubs, directly impacting children. So I'm actually over the moon about that. Like, to be shortlisted is just really lovely and really exciting. And you know, the other people in the category have done wonderful things, so by no means is there any expectations on my side to even win the award, but I'm really, really grateful to be included in the shortlist, and also to have the judges look through the stuff, and then again on the awards night, a room full of people within the sector hearing the name Green Heart Wellbeing. So I think the universe has just thrown me a little bit of love to kind of help me. I got through the wobble and here's the reward. That's just something that I wanted to share. It's like, keep going, like persevere, because good things can happen too. So thank you so much for listening, and get in touch if there's anything you want to share. As always, let me know how you got on with the takeaways, if they're useful for you. And yeah, see you soon.